accepting our invitation, trying to be giving us a lecture for all our Thinking and NGO viewers. Today's program going to be we're going to have introduction about 5 minutes Thinking and NGO and Kaijima, and then we're going to have a 25 minutes lecture by Momoyo Kaijima. Then we have a 20 minutes conversation with me and Kaijima on past, present, future architecture. Then we're going to have a 10 minutes question and answer. So if you have any difficulties with logging in, you always can rejoin. If you miss, I'm just trying to tell you before if you have any technical problems. So the Thinking and NGO talks, the mission and aim of the Thinking and NGO is to empower people and students, especially urban poor, with various events to bring people together. That is collective approach. Lead the way of for the change with free education. Talk series will be on various topics, starting from past, present, future architecture, design, landscape, environment, thesis, theory, research, practice, sustainability, and more. These talks from experts would inspire and empower people from remote areas, a platform to discuss openly, voice, and think deeply. Critically, in a more constructive way, the panel members, professors, experts will be from various disciplines, institutions, and backgrounds to lecture. Talk and discuss various topics in conversation with Thinking and NGO, founder, which is me, Ketham Santosh Kumar, and the event supported by Studio Ketham's Atelier Architects. So, Professor Momoyo Kaijima, we met in a conference, which was wonderful to meet her, get to know her. So, I asked her about this event, and she immediately accepted it. So, Momoyo Kaijima, born in 1969, Tokyo, Japan, graduated from the Faculty of Domestic Science at Japan Women's University in 1991. She founded Atelier Baobao with Yoshiharu Tushikomoto in 1992. In 1994, she received her first master's degree from the Tokyo Institute of Technology. During 1996 to 1997, she was a graduate student with scholarship from Switzerland of at Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Zurich, ETH. In 2000, she completed her postgraduate program at Tokyo Institute of Technology. She served as an assistant graduate program at Tokyo Institute of Technology. She received she served as an assistant professor at the Art and Design School of University of Tsukuba since 2000, and as an associate professor since 2009. In 2012, she received the RIBA International Fellowship. From 2017, she has been serving as a professor of architectural behaviorology at ETH. She taught at Harvard GSD 2003 to 2016, guest professor at ETH 2005 to 2007, as well as at the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts 2011 to 2012, Rice University 2014 to 2015, Delft University of the Technology 2015 to 2016, and Columbia University 2017. While engaging in design projects for houses, public buildings, and stations, plazas, she has conducted numerous investigations of the city to architecture, such as Made in Tokyo and Pet Architecture. She was a curator of Japan Pavilion at the 16th International Architecture Exhibition, La Biennale di Venezia. So her studio is Bovo in Japan. Thank you very much, Kaijima. I'll give you the platform for your lecture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to share my thinking. And first of all, so I would like to explain about architectural behaviorology. Now I'm teaching in ETH and also University of Tsukuba in Japan. Oh, just just a moment.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Why we are starting to the architecture behaviorology? So the simply explanation is the last few century. So our life and society and industrialization happened to makes a very different condition in our life. Yeah, for example, like early 18th century, 19th century, so the I think people living in the place and not so much traveling, and also the we base more the place itself, and architecture and our life were also very very dominant by this context. But 20th century, of course, colonialization and slowly to exchange different things between the place to place. So our society becomes somehow more rich resources compared from the just one place. We started to use a different material from the different place, and also we start to make a new material from the combining the new technology. And of course, the 20th century, we went to moon or we go to find a new space out of the Earth. But same times, 21st century, now we are also confronting the different scale of the virtual expectation of the Earth. Informal world becomes much larger than physical Earth. And now I think a global climate crisis issue and also the limited resource of the Earth in circumstance of this condition. So how we should negotiate, how we keep our sustainable life in our Earth. So that is maybe so important topic in 21st century. And in this reason, so I'm also thinking about how we can make some protection or certain territory to uh, create the keeping our sustainable lifestyle. So and I think COVID were also very big effect to our life, and we stopped moving around in the earth. And but same times, this is also a big change for new lifestyle. So to make a more certain territory could directly given to our quality of the life. So that's why. So maybe this is also very important. The timing for think about the how we would do in our uh, future life. And architecture behaviorology is we try to understand the architectural form through the different aspect, research and teaching, and also design practice. And also the form were related to the climate and also the people life and also building culture itself. So, and if we see today, but architecture could not change a lot last historical decades. So that means we have also a good method for observation of our society, how architecture could be transformed from different conditions, but same times some old buildings or some old the spaces remain in the today's condition. So that's why so we could compare so how they were and how we could learn so from history. So that is also important potential so in our architecture method. And I will show the first some teachings or practice in our ETH. Recently, so we finished one workshop. It's called the timber behaviorology. Because last 10 years or more than, so in Japan, so we have a very strong culture of the timber, and we worked a lot for timber resources in Japan and to understand the culture, but same times also the carpentry and also industrial system, and also the forestry and the mountain environment, how today's had some problems. For example, in Japan 1960s, we had a very new development on the forest of the mountainside. So because after World War II, so in Japan we had a very shortage of the material of the timber, and the Japanese government investigate to the private private initiative to be supported by states fund, so to create the private the new timber forest. And but at the same time, it is not well taken care so by the people. So now I think in Japan we have a very nice cultivate period, but still we lost some connection between the forest and our today's building environment. So that's why, so I think many architects and we also too, so working for recovery of this network to become a more better solution to create a timber building. And I think Switzerland has also nice opportunity because they have a mountain and also they have a lot of forest. So that's why, so I would like to bring this idea to Switzerland to teach with the Swiss students and to share how the Swiss timber it is now. And the workshop will happen this summer from July to September, and 3 months. And originally it was planned in the Vienna, so because Vienna has a new some international biennale, architecture biennale, so planned. So, but unfortunately, so the COVID makes us a little bit difficult to do in Vienna. So that's why, so we shift our program in the Zurich around our campus. But same time, so it is also a very good opportunity for us to understand how the Switzerland timber it is, and also how the campus has surrounded the many nice the forestry, and how we can reach this forestry as a material to make our environment. And we collaborate the one NGO, so it's called Valde Labo, Forest Laboratory in Zurich, and they are a team of biologists and forestry and yeah, many different skillful and knowledge the researcher to create understanding of the forest in the other resources in the education program. And we went together to visit with them the forest, and then students propose the several idea how they can get some timber and log from the forest, and the same time how utilize by this timber to create some gathering space for forest laboratory in Zurich. And it's also interesting. So last winter, so forest had several problems. So one problem had too much snowing in the Zurich city center, and many trees were damaged by snow of gravity of the snow, and then so it should be cut in certain reason because of the damage of the snow. And another problem is some insects bite the timber center part. So that's why, so because of these insects problem, some tree should be cut also. So, but unfortunately, both cases, the tree timber were damaged by the nature and some insects. So that's why the resources could not be sold as a normal production line. So that's why it would be very very cheap cost. But I think if we don't think about the quality as for the production, normal production, instead of more consideration exact rich material of on so that's why our challenge is we also make some good respect by this understanding of the timber resources itself to create a new space of for the vulnerable. And then also we worked with the forest sawmill factory and in the nearby the forest. And the students made a interesting proposal for using by using the log itself and to supported by some another rafter of floor beam and a roof beam. And also the most of the structure are binding and connecting by special joint by hand, because we discuss also why not we don't bring the machine on site and everything should be done by hand. So that's also the one interesting boundary of the design too. And then so timber was cut in by design in the sawmill factory, and the building was started on the campus by the students self building. And last part of the beam supported by a students group, but same time they collect many other students from around. So that's why very very it was a very nice situation to create the final beam, so to make up together. And also after the finishing the certain beam, so we understood how the space would be very relaxing and nice, and also the each span has around 2.5 meters, so and it's also very nice distance for gathering together. And we did also the kind of opening party, so inviting the several stakeholders, vulnerable, and also the Vienna Architecture Biennale curator, so Hubert Klampner and his assistant, and to celebrate the result with the teams. And also there's some forest mill factory, so they joined to have a look the result by students. And I think this is a very interesting experiment in ETH also. So because we understood how the forest timber could be reached by us, and also we understood how our design process could be go to more origin when the timber was started or timber production was started. Not instead of buying the already cut material in the market. So we just think about a new dimension or original dimension from the real material. So that is a quite important part of the possibility of the design to create a new boundary of building. And because I had some opportunity to this kind of things to do so before, so because 2011 we had a very big earthquake in Japan, and this image is coming just after the 3 months. So tsunami attacked to the east coast of Japan, very long coastline. And one of the village, it's named the Momonora village, were attacked also. And then this is a photograph of after 3 months. And we visited with the students to understand the wish of the recovery from the fishermen. And but still, so area were totally so covered by damaged material of the buildings, and it was very shocked for us. But same time, we saw the very beautiful forest behind of the damaged village. And the new residence area were expecting to the up on the hill because the evacuation distant from the sea coast to not to attacked again, so not to be attacked again by the next tsunami. So that's why. So we tried to find out some hill part to create a new residence, but same times the place were originally used as a vegetable garden for the fishermen. But same times after the certain moment in 1960, what I mentioned, so the many mountain vegetable garden was started to plan by the private initiative, so by funding by the government. And this is also same situation. And we saw the many timber were grown on the vegetable garden. And then we started to think about how we can utilize for recovery house building by this material. So, but and also to integrate or invite the many laborers from the local carpentry to create this recovery house. And then also that we understood the shortage of the labor and shortage of the material have a problem. And then so that's why so maybe so the house will be extend time and time so by several incomes of time after time so of the recovery of the fishery too. And then so we call this system, it's a core house system to create a house several stages. And also that we make a one house for the kind of publishment to understand this system in the locally. And this building was supported by donation of the many people, and it's also used as a small tea or gathering space in a temple who lost the main building by tsunami. And but unfortunately, so one hand is this region of the building network were damaged before the tsunami. So because shortage of the building amount and makes them to weaker than former situation. So that's why so the when the area were attacked by tsunami, and we were expecting to using the local material and the local so labors, but unfortunately so there is not so much amount of in the area. So that's why so finally so many of the house were built by outer industry like a house maker from the city area. So that's why so unfortunately, some area were very, very different view from the local landscape. But same time, it's very similar like the big city area, so residence area. And we found that some house are very disappointed so by this problem. So because we try to do the better situation, but unfortunately, our building society are not so uh, ready so to do this kind of direction. So that's why so we firstly so give up to this do this direction. So but same time is also the we started to think about how we support the fishery industry by architecture. And we started to discuss with the local fishermen to create the fisherman's school to invite the newcomer who wants to be fisherman so in this area. Because I think a fishery now also in this area becomes also aged, and they worried about sustainability of the fishery by their own. So that's why, so this fisherman school will be also run by several stakeholders to create a new network from outside to invite a new effect in the local fisherman village. And a program was discussed by the among of the meetings, several meetings, and then it was started to the 2017, so summer, so after tsunami, 1.5 years ago. Yeah, 1.5 year later. And my program is fishery, so learning the fishery and also the making cooking also by fish. And also we create some textbook for inviting the fisherman, so new fisherman, because normal fisherman doesn't use special textbook about their knowledge, because it's almost a secret special so knowledge in family. So that's why so it was not written some certain uh, text. So and then also we run the several times. So almost twice per year, so until 10th years after. So, but same anytime, every time, so we try to encourage a different kind of people who will join this program. So once we ask the entrepreneur, like a businessman and supporter, who want to come to do something, a plan, so in the this area. And also once we started to think about a new residency area for a newcomer for this area, or another time, so we also make a food fisherman school to use the local food, not only fish, but also including several vegetable and fruit from the area. And also one fisherman school one run for the understanding how the foot of the hill area could be utilized as a new business program or new residence exchange program. And in this case, also the model is very helpful for sharing the understanding of the context and geological, so some special context in this area. So because I think fishery and also this kind of hill mountain fishery village are very, very special conditions, so including in the business, but also the living no wise. So that's why. So in this, after this usage of the foot of the hill, to understand the future fisherman village creation. So we also ran another program for take care of the timber on the vegetable garden for the fishery to make some new potential for open up the forest to create a new space for the program, but also the utilize as a timber material itself, so for the gathering and chair and also benches and furniture as a new industry. And also we start to plan the accommodation for local and external outsiders, so exchange, urban rural exchange program for camping or accommodation. And we designed the main house, and also we invite the several young architects to design the cottages. And finally, two cottages were selected by the founder who donate this program. And we start to thinning the tree and the space, create a space. And also same times we make some place for gathering and pass with the local timber. And also some timber were cut for the two cottages. And we ran also the summer program, summer school program, to build up by ourselves with the collaboration the local carpenter. And the two buildings were realized in 1 week, the main structure by this volunteer and local carpenter group. And after 1 and 2 weeks, so the everything finished. And then so we start to open the new accommodation, the program. And this is one images of the students took the very nicely by the drones, and you can see how the area will look around. So area one place were facing to the sunny side, to facing to the toward the harbor. We can get a very nice view, and the surrounded of very beautiful cedar forest. But some part were opened for our the accommodation campsite. And then, so we still continue to the some program. For example, retaining all the stone wall were damaged by the time. And then now the one researcher, she's Sanada Junko, so professor from the Tokyo Tech, and she runs interesting programs, so learning the stone masonry wall, how people could retain by themselves. And then we invite her and to understand how it works, and also the one wall were maintained by ourselves. And also we studied to the 2 years ago, so we studied to make recovery of the festival, local festival, to utilize the straw for making the boat for children in the summer festival. We learn for elder, so around 80 years old fishermen, to understand how they made 50 years ago, and they start to remember how it was, and then they are very enthusiastic to recovery of these things. And the first year, so almost they didn't. They just do by themselves, and the second year we started to understand how it was.
Kajima, just to like an interview, I think this, I can you have like 2 more minutes to just so that we can have a discussion more about it. And
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Okay, okay, yes. Yes. Yeah, this is the last slide. So yes, I think I think this was the 1966. So the every building were coming material coming from the locally. But after many new materials comes, and we lost the connection of the local resources and our building culture. So of course we cannot easily to back to this 60 years ago, but how we keep our network today. So that is a maybe question and our challenging. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great presentation, and it was amazing to know a lot of things. So now I think we're gonna have both talking about like a conversation about what past, present, and future architecture. I wanted to know like how climate change is kind of changing and impacting architecture of past, present, and future. I think earlier in the past, people were not talking about the climate change, but I think in the present and the future, I think it's very much needed. So, what do you think about it, and show some light on it, like how architecture has to change as per the climate change?
Maybe no, climate change, of course, one of the very big issue 2020. So, but same time, so our life will change. For example, in Japan is a very hot month. India also like many southern Asian country has a lot of hot climate. So in this case, we received many new air conditioning system, right? And then so this kind of air conditioning so system originally, so we had a very lot of opening so between the interior and exterior. And but recently, so our especially so urban area, so like a Tokyo, so it's getting much hotter than before, and also the dense of the city makes us much harder for the getting the nice cooling from the nature. So that's why so I think, of course, the climate change it makes us also worse, but same time, so our life maybe style it was also changed in Japan too. So that's why so heating system and cooling system also make a big pressure to our building culture. And I think in the future our lifestyle should be also be changed so to understand the more better solution, not just to create the artificial climate air conditioning zone, instead of more like some nice mild buffer zone and to
Quote,
keep
yes.
in our original lifestyle. So that is my concern. And then Fisherman Village somehow it's more I think good because they don't use not so much air conditioning, but only the winter it's a little bit cold, so they do partially so use it. So, but yeah, and we have to think about that.
Hmm. And even I think in Japan, I think in the most of the countries, like the flooding is getting really worse day by day, and countries and cities are facing a lot with the flooding, and especially in Japan, I think we also have an earthquake
Mm.
regular basis. So how you're dealing with in Japan, what do you think architects and the engineers needs to work on, like how to deal with these things? So what do you think
Yes.
about it?
Yeah, I think one issue is also like rural area. So sometimes they have a lot of nature and more dynamic effect by the nature disaster, for example, the earthquake and the landsliding and the river flood, so on. So that's why so it's one hand is they are very close to the nature. So but they had a lot of nice quality from the nature and some rich fruitful living condition. But same time they facing to the somehow so big opportunity of the disaster. So that's why so maybe like one possibility of the architects what we can do also the we should support them to how the uh, disaster would be by certain moment. And also recently, so like some special long rain by the special form of the crowd, not the form of the crowds. Recently, we have a lot of this kind of long rain problem. It means like uh, Japan is island and the southern ocean and the northern Japan Sea. So both air is more keeping the only one specific spot for raining. So before that, it comes more like a dynamic from the west and north, west and south to northeast. So more dynamic changing. But recently, so much harder climate to make a more one spot to becomes very big rain. So that is a bit strange phenomenon recently. So so that's why so we don't know exactly how it comes, but maybe like we should understand so how which part is more safe and which part is not safe. And I think also the Japanese climate, Japanese government also they make a lot of new infrastructure like a dam and also water, river dike and so on. So, but now there is also problem. So if we just believe of this industrial infrastructure, the safetyness of them, so that becomes also problem. So that we should somehow so doubt and we should know without this kind of dam or special infrastructure, what's happened in the nature. So I think this is also interesting. Yeah, interesting discussion. Which level and how we understood our um, danger so in our life.
Mhm. So I think it's like, first is you empower people to deal with the climate change and the flooding, like how where it's really impacting, and how they need to react. And also, do you think like the people needs to be participating in building the communities, not just depending on the government, but people are also aware of things, and if they are also participating in making their own community and city developing
Mm.
by people participation, like speculative design, construction on site. So, what do you think? Like, is the government and the academics and the architects and designers and all the experts coming together doing projects as a collective way? So, do you think that will really create an impact and bring some change?
Yes, I think at least we should understand. So, what's the problem happen? So, which kind of
Hmm.
problem happen? And I think, of course, government and also academics and designer, everybody just should be shared each other. So, to this problem. And also the in Japan, I think one problem is also the politics and also the department of the like a city hall and or municipality everywhere. So I think very segregate the like a water part and water or mountain part and water or like agriculture or agriculture only. So like or building is building. So very every technical part were segregated by this policy, but same times also the some tax and money and all things. So, and this kind of division of the life, it's also creates a lot of problem. For example, like yeah, this last 2011 disaster, so tsunami after, so for example, like Japanese building municipality and also agriculture municipality is different, but
Hmm.
people has a both no in their
Yes,
life.
absolutely.
So that is always like they have to talk with different persons so about their life. So fisherman needs to talk fisherman and fisher municipality and also the agriculture municipality and also the building municipality. So
Reality.
that's why so like their life is one very totality, so has a, some certain totality, but it has so many division by the technical policy. So that's why so it's very tired. I think I would say very so tired. So system. So that maybe like we should solve so how our life more center, not segregated by this kind of technical things. No, I think how we more directly to think about the life and our environment more continuous as a nature. So to that is I think maybe new policy standard or policy,
Yeah.
yeah, management. It will be also very important to change our society. So that is I think quite sure. And also like I think academics also has a lot of problem, like engineer, architecture or agriculture. We are very different studies. We
Yeah.
don't talk not so much each other, so that is also very big problem. So if we need to do something place, so but everybody has a specific major, so and they don't think about other things, so that's also very big problem.
Hmm.
So the maybe of course our life is now becomes very big, somehow so looks difficult or looks very complicated, but the reality I think our society creates also complicate problems. So that's why so we might need to think about how we solve this issue. Yes, and also architects and designer is also one hand. I think we also make we are very important role to bring different knowledge coming together in the life. So I think if we are support this part, very very, I think it's very important, and I would be this take this role so in
Wow, that's great.
mm,
I think
yes.
it's very important. Like, you were talking about, like, you worked in academics, like, you're still teaching, and you were kind of also doing projects in Japan, and also you're part of the public projects. So I think, as you also mentioned, it's very hard to connect all the departments, both in academic as well as in the government. So, what do you think? Like, how do we need to motivate them, and also the people getting into the projects, involving them, because most of the time they're not aware of what's going on with the projects. So I think the academics and the government and the people needs to act together. So what is the possible way to do that? Is it just by the communicating, or is it just like, awareness? What do you think has to start with?
I think one hand is that people have to understand that it's a very each case, at least one case, more
Yeah,
like a simply. So like a, I think a case is also the very nice integration of the all different problems. So that's why, so like if people started to engage one case at least, maybe as a designer or a politician, everybody, so they could understand what how the society had a complicated division. So, and then if we understood this problem, so this case could be also, if we test another case, but it started, we could also compare each other. And then if we continue to this case to case, um, we also learn each other from different cases.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
Even we thinking from Thinking an NGO and Ketham Atelier Architects, we're trying to do these various events to bring in people together. It's a collective approach again. So collectively do the research, collectively speculate things, and also take this thing to in terms of exhibitions, and people participate. The local citizens see the probable possible solutions or strategies, how the cities could be, especially for the flooding example I'm saying. So, which is my research is also in a similar line. I'm trying to work on this, and it's very, as I said, it's very complex to bring in all the actors together and try to make something. And it's always keep trying and doing, working on this kind of topics, and at the same time trying to involve people in a participatory building. It's again a bottom up approach, which is very important, I think. And and what is your suggestion for the young architects, budding architects who are studying, or just passed out or is in the profession? What is the thing you would like to say related to the architecture, like how the future, present, and future gonna be?
Yes, I always recommend to the people, my students, go to maybe so like go to the case. So I think this is also very important to start to very even if very small things. It's very very fine. So and then also the if they start to visit this place and to communicate is very directly local people. So very different, should be different kind of local people. It's good. And then they also the part of the membership of this locality. I think that's also very helpful to understand the research inside outsider kind of. So this kind of position is also very important. Not only the outsider to observe from some other
Yes. Yeah.
positions, or more like jump into this community, but at the
Hmm.
same time keep some distance and to more like a dynamic loop, so from outside and inside to bring the different idea and the testing, so different levels. So that's maybe so for students could be also very engaged the case, but same time that they could learn a lot of things, and also they can create some important position and role so in this local society. So and I think also the maybe I came from Tokyo, but same time I really like the rural area. So because rural area also has a more like a responsible, so one person what we can do directly. So that's also very very strong motivation, and also a lot of enjoyment and very we could learn a lot. So that's why, so I think, of course, urban context is also maybe also bring us a lot of different energy, but same time I think rural area also have needs some young power to do something better. So that's why, so I also recommend the many young people to go to rural areas, so to jump in their program and program.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree on this. And I think, as you said, like, we need to also see what we are learning, like, not taking everything, what is really relevant. You need to understand a lot of subjects at the same time. You need to see what is very important, what is more relevant for you and the society. So I think it's very important points you made. Now I leave it to the audience to ask questions if they have any. So I think, audience, you can open your microphones and just ask questions to Kajima if you have any. Anyone? No questions?
No question. Looks like that.
Hello, man. How are you?
Hi, thank you.
It's really nice to know what you have done in the past, and it was a privilege to know the amazing work you have done. Got to learn a lot about it. My only question was, I saw in one of the projects that you had to cut down the trees to make use of the space and create a space out of it. Why didn't we utilize the existing trees as they are and make a space out of it already? That was my very concern. Since we are already being concerned about the climate change and the forest fires and disturbing uh, the greenery of our planet. So that's the only thing I had. Apart from that, yeah. Please, could you take me
Yes,
through it?
yeah. You mean so fisherman village project, the tree.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Yes, of course, we would love to use, but also like one last cottage was two cottage were used using by this using of this forestry directly to, yes, that we could do, but another case maybe like if building industry, so they want to keep this quality, and then some housemake already had another trade from another side. So that's why, so if we order the like a catalog some house from the existing market, so we cannot buy directly. So that is a very, I think, honestly, for me, so it's very very sad. So because we see many tree in front of us, but we could not use this tree. Such a stupid situation. I really also a bit angry so, about this. So that's why, so like our project is how we can cut our tree in the site. So and how we create this tree so directly to make a future building. So that is our challenge. So yes, I totally agree. Yes.
That makes more sense now. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. So hello everyone.
Hello.
First of all, thanks to Ketham Santosh Architects and Thinking Hand NGO, and thanks to you, ma'am, for sharing us the knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, I have a question regarding the timber. Since Japan is more of a earthquake-prone zone, so apart from timber, what are the other materials that we can use as a building material for constructing any small or big structure in these zones like earthquake prone areas apart from timber?
Sorry, last part I could not hear. Could you repeat again? So last part of the question. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sounds is not a little bit bad.
yeah. Apart from timber, what is the different material that we can use as a construction material for to make a building in earthquake zone?
Earthquake zone. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I think yes. Maybe like traditionally, so we Japan, so it's used so many trees, so traditional building, and we have a lot of many flat building, like one story or second story. The historically, so it's normal way. So yes, but I think modern period last I think around 200 years. We started to make a large scale of the building, and then we've learned also the new technology from the European culture, concrete and steel. And Japan has original so timber structure still exists, and a very very strong culture for housing. So that's why, so I think our society has a very mixing, so to even if like a fisherman village, so many houses done by one or two stories, so timber building, but same times primary school or some city hall were made by concrete. That is our society situation. And then I think that one or two story of the timber building, it's also very not so big problem about the earthquake. But of course, tsunami is very, very easy to somehow so tsunami attacked by the water is very, very easy to collapse. But traditionally, also the easy collapse means easy build up. So that is also one sustainable culture. So not against the everything. So forcing to the disaster. So we also we had also recovery strengths of the culture exist in Japan. So that's why so the timber is more like a building but build up again. So that is also make a very strong sense of the sustainability. But also, of course, concrete culture, steel culture is not so easy to build up again. So that's why. So of course, we taking care of the earthquake force, and also technically, and also very protect the every disaster. So, but still, I'm wondering what we can do as a sustainability, and also the durability of the this kind of disaster. So of course, one case is we could also force to remain how we could remain after before so disaster. That is also one point. But maybe also the how we keep our knowledge and the recovery way. So that is also another solution of sustainability. So maybe we have to consider so again to the what we need to do. So
Mhm. Thank you, Suleiman Ali.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
I
Okay, I have a last question for Kajima. Like, what
yes,
motivates you to do architecture more, passionately in this thing? So, what motivates you to do architecture and urbanism? To just throw some lights to end the whole session and the talk.
motivation to me, or sorry, motivation
Yeah,
for the
motivation
society.
for you, for
Or
you,
for
and
me, for me.
yeah.
Yes, one simple motivation is I really want to know why people live or how people live. So, in the future and in the past. So that really interesting. And this interests very very strongly my motivation. So bring my motivation. So that is one things. And also the architecture knowledge helps us a lot so to understand this skill and knowledge. So that's why so yeah, this is also very good, like a frame. So for me, and also I always motivated if uh, I had some lack of the knowledge and lack of the understanding. So I become very motivated to learn more. That is my motivation, I think. Still now and maybe in the future too. Yes.
Okay, I think we have a question from one of the audience. I think you can just take that. I think you can ask a question. Maybe you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi. My question is hi to all of you and to Architect Momoyo. Yeah. Question is how can we get inspiration also by mixing fusion of sustainability with the current trend right now, especially here in Middle East, is the modern design. What can we? How can we like make a fusion of it? I mean, any ideas as to how we can mix it sustainability with the modern design? Yeah.
Yes. Maybe modern design is yeah. Thank you very much for question. So
Okay.
modern design is also very big term. So I'm wondering how I could answer. But maybe like if you live some certain place, I think you start your on your place is more easy to understand. And also like if you have some elder people, maybe you can hear maybe I don't know 30 years ago or 50 years ago what it was before. So and then you can find also like a difference from in the history, and maybe you can create the future to with the history and today and the future. So to make a, like a long access of by the timeline. So that I always it helps me a lot, even if in Fisherman Village recovery project, and also like a Swiss timber project. So if we go back to a little bit origin, so perspective is always help us a lot to understand better than not only today in modern situation. I think.
I totally agree, Kajima. I think I can't
Oh,
agree more than this. I think my opinion would be is like try to go with climate responsive architects with the local context, the materials and spaces, as also Kajima mentioned, like how the history has transformed, how the chronology happened. If you know that, I think automatically you get your own design as a modern design, and you create that spaces by experiencing the community, the place, the climate. So I think you can do a great project out of it. That itself is a sustainable. For me,
okay.
sustainability is a new word that we're using it, but actually sustainability exists from a long time. So sustainability is already there, like, and I think you just need to find it, then just go with the place context. And
Thank, thank you very
thank you
much.
for your question. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kajima, for a wonderful talk. We are honored to have you. And the people who couldn't join, I think we'll have this session recorded and we'll put it on online so that they can have a look of your presentation and
Yeah.
learn more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much
Take
for
care. Bye.
yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.